Nerds, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Midnight's Edge in the Morning. It's Friday, TGIF. We have with us the boss man, Andre. How you doing?
Greetings, everyone. I'm good. It's been a week. It's over, and it's time to chill and relax and talk about everything that went down.
Indeed. We also have with us Culture Casino, and I must say, you're no Fred Rogers. Steve Rogers.
Yep, okay. That's right.
One of the Rogers.
He's back.
Roger.
The old man is back.
Yeah. But without the mustache, what a terrible way to handle the death of the previous actor.
Yeah, this whole thing is silly.
He's
playing the William Hurt character.
Yes.
No, he's been playing the president for a couple of
Nope.
Marvel
This is the
movies
first time
already.
he'll be playing the character.
He is playing the same character that William Hurt played before. Started out as General Ross in
that's right.
Hulk with Edward Norton, and then next we saw the character in Captain America: Civil War. But at that point, he had risen in the ranks to congressman or something like that.
Right.
And now, seemingly,
he's president.
Is either president or he is running for president, confirming the rumors that this movie was going to be hyper political and dealing with Trump. Who knows if it still does that? But in an earlier iteration, it was all about that. Now, if this character is supposed to be the Trump character, or if he's running against someone else, more Trump-like in an election, that we don't know. And that may not be the case, but that is the angle that the movie originally took, and why they felt the need to reshot 3 sequences of it. Namely, those sequences were, according to Tom, carry on. Tom,
sorry, I'm trying to get my sound thing to work right now.
Yeah, okay. Well,
sequences were Act 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, pretty much.
But we need to introduce Paul here. He's not Biden, because you would think so, because he's confused and he's got white hair. But no, it's Paul.
I just need a dribble cup.
All right.
I like turtles.
I think I'm working now.
Yeah, I'll be there soon. I mean, Shelley Duvall died at 75, so I'm in that.
I don't think you're living as hard as she was, though.
Yeah, and you're not allowed.
Thank you.
No, you're stuck. We're stuck with you till you're like 110.
Yeah.
Well,
and also, I think that you probably know very well that the glorious president of Ukraine is not Putin.
Correct.
Not yet, at any rate.
No, not yet. I mean, again, once you hit this kind of age region, you can't help but think about mortality. I mean, that's a common thing. And as a comedian, Woody Allen said the only thing that's funny is sex and death, and he dealt with a lot of those things in his movies. Which, ironically, we're dealing with less and less in the movies. Those are 2 polar opposites that have always been fun topics to poke fun
Yeah,
with.
but modern audiences don't find that funny because it makes them nervous and feel unsafe, and they have to
Maybe.
talk about it in therapy after they do a video on TikTok about it.
What was the philosopher's name who said that sex was like the series of little deaths?
Heidegger?
I think so.
I don't remember.
All I know is sometimes a cigar is just a cigar culture.
That was Freud.
I know.
Oh,
And
Freud.
speaking of death, this is a sad one. Packing Proton sends in 5 to say, "Rip Benji, 2 Elf stars gone. Condolences to Mexican Iron Man." Well, I don't know if Mexican Iron Man will be that upset with the Elf situation, but the death of Benji Gregory was a sad bit of news to hear about.
He was only 46. I mean, it's like, come on, dude. He was in his car in a parking lot at a bank.
Yeah, that's where he was found. We don't know
That's
exactly what happened.
That's actually true.
Right. And that's where I said too, yeah, like there's
I mean, they're blaming because apparently the story is that he was in his car and then he fell asleep and then he and his service dog died from exhaustion and the dog couldn't wake him up. That tells me probably he had some kind of episode first, and then the dog died of heat in the car right next to him because he had already. But again, that's speculation.
That's speculation. But the thing with the dog, and this is the thing with the dog, like people react to dogs and kids in cars. So I have a feeling that the dog possibly was already asleep, because if it's in a public place in a parking lot, you'd think people would have heard the dog or seen the dog and broke the windows open to help the dog. So that's where I think like maybe the dog already had been sleeping and passed away himself. Again, as far as Benji goes, I don't want to, we don't know if he was under the influence of anything. We don't know if it was just the heat, if he, because it was, I guess, triple digit heat where he was. So it was, they know that was a factor anyway, they said. So that's about all we know now. It'll probably be a couple weeks before we're getting kind of reports back though.
Yeah, I kind of think we'll probably never get the full story of exactly what transpired there. But
and I wasn't able to find too much about his life after Elf. So.
Yeah, no, like he retired from the spotlight, like so many other young actors. He had a hard time recovering from it. So he withdrew from the spotlight, and then he was diagnosed with a number of mental conditions, which is why he had a service dog in the first place. And tragic story, and sad to see him gone. But hey, at least Alf is his legacy. And as Packing Protons is saying, 2 Alf stars gone. And the first one to go was Max Wright, like the adopted father of Alf himself. That was another tragic story. That was also quite a story. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so sadly, yes, that's been the news the last few days.
Also, since we mentioned it, also rest in peace, Shelley Duvall, as
Paul brought it up already.
Already briefly mentioned, but she was a great actress, and too bad that we won't be able to see more of her work.
Indeed. Thunderstorm says allegedly Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 3 is a Stan Lee film. It will be interesting comparing Episode 3 to Captain Falcon film. Episode 3 of the Winter Soldier show? I didn't watch it.
As a Stan Lee film?
Unless he means stand alone.
You're going to have to clarify that, because I'm a little bit unsure of exactly what it is you mean there.
Yeah, you have to clarify that a little bit. We got Dr. Longdongler sending in £1.99 to remind you to hit that thumbs up. If you haven't pounded that like button already. Patrick Robinson sends in $9.99 to say, Tom, I started watching Highway to Heaven thanks to you. Well, you're welcome. Very good show. I also learned there was a Lifetime movie remake. Yes, there was. Were you familiar with it? And what were your thoughts? I was not, other than I just knew it existed. I had never seen it, had no interest in seeing it. And that's about that. So yeah, other than that, no, I couldn't tell you much more, but I'm glad that you're enjoying your rewatch of Highway to Heaven. We got Samuel Maine here with a $4 super sticker. Let me see what it is. It is a cup of coffee, just what I need today, even though I'm not a coffee drinker. I just have not been sleeping well lately. Yami Bliss sends in 5 and says, I hear the writer of Love and Thunder was hired to do both X-Men series and movies. Yes. In fact, we covered this the latter part of the show the other day, wasn't it, Andre?
Yes, we did. We did
Yeah.
cover it briefly in the previous show, and the clip of that discussion is already up on Midnight's Edge Live archives. So that was like one of the first clip that we posted in a little while, actually.
What
So-
what writer? I thought the movie was mostly improvised.
No, well, here's the thing, and there's been a lot of write-ups about this, and they're missing some of the details. First of all, it's Matthew. I'd have to look his name up here real quick, but he had worked on a few other things before, Dollhouse, Agent Carter. But of course, he's gay as gay can be, so that's probably why he got the job anyway.
Does he have an OnlyFans?
I don't know on that, but he is supposedly, or actually not supposedly, this was confirmed by Deadline, is reworking season 2.
Season
that
2
tells
of
me-
the animated X-Men 97.
Yeah, so that tells me
Clarify
that a big part of the problem was that Bo wasn't going along with what they wanted. If they're going to have him rewrite it.
Bo was not gay enough, apparently.
Nope, or at least wasn't going. And that was what I said. I think I remember saying that at the time. I
Yeah,
said,
you did.
I said, remember, if we get a new writer and they say we're rewriting season 2, that tells you exactly what went wrong. Because otherwise, if season 2 was, because after the reaction of season 1, if it was purely they were worried about his dick pics, or it was a professional thing that he couldn't get along with somebody, they would have still kept season 2 the way it was. So as far as I'm concerned, that tells us everything we need to know, especially after what happened to him on Witcher. So I would love to talk to Bo about what happened. Because I believe at this point, he wasn't gay enough, or he wasn't doing the gay shit they wanted. He was sticking too close to the source material and probably butting heads with people.
Yeah, as insane as that may sound, but when you look at the rest of what Marvel is putting out, and he even made it so clear that he was hired because he was a gay black man, and they wanted his experience as a gay black man, and then they probably looked at it and said, "What the hell is this? This is just another X-Men season.
How
We
dare
didn't
you?
want another X-Men season that
Yeah.
fans are going to enjoy. We wanted the experience of a black gay man. Now do it again." And then probably was too late. So they found someone else now, and they find this other guy and probably said, "Okay, here's season 2. Now make it so it looks like it was written by a gay black man."
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that they probably told him to go back and rewrite season 2, and then he said no, or he didn't agree with what they wanted to change or make him do, and that was probably him, quote unquote, being difficult to work with.
Probably. Because that's what we heard. He was difficult to work with. And that could very well be that he was basically saying that, no, I grew up with the X-Men animated series. This is my take. This is true to the X-Men animated series. This is something that the fans are going to enjoy. And he stuck with that, and that's him being difficult to work with. I'm not saying that's a good reason to be fired or anything, but just looking at the response to X-Men 97 and how they are now reworking season 2 as if there was something wrong with season 1, which I haven't seen it myself, but based on Yellow Flash and everyone who
No, it's fine.
there was nothing wrong with season 1. So why do you have to rework season 2 from the same guy?
And that's what puts them in the position of us saying this, because, and this is how I come to this conclusion, I should say, because they fired him on the eve of the show dropping. If they had waited until the show had a few episodes and then whatever, then maybe, because that's the thing. I have a feeling they wouldn't have fired him now. Had they known the reaction was going to be what it was.
I think the only main problem was it would have been, rather than being curiously slavish to the original look of the animation, which was never good, and I don't even think nostalgically it was good. I think they should have upped the animation game, and I think it would have been fine because the story's good, everything is good, the acting is good. There's nothing wrong with it. I just think they healed too hard into the idea that we were going to be, we were into the look and feel of it. That had to be maintained because it really was terrible animation.
Well, I probably wouldn't. I don't. Of all the things that may change from season 1 to season 2, I do not think the animation being better is one of them.
No. But that was really my only problem with it. Like, why not update the animation? But anyway, that's pretty esoteric discussion.
Yeah, no, I see why that's a problem. That's a natural thing that we as viewers would like to see better, but I fear that is not Marvel's problem with it. And this is kind of like goes to my issue with this trailer as well. To move into that, is that I have fundamentally lost faith in Kevin Feige and his entire team, and that now colors everything I see. And to lead into that, Luca Rock says for $5, the best part of Falcon and the Winter Soldier was U.S. Agent and Baron Zemo, LOL. Yeah, that could very well be. And now we have the trailer, which dropped yesterday. We were promised by some scoopers that it was going to drop yesterday, which only tells us that those scoopers, they were partially on the money because it did drop today. For all we know, maybe that rumor is what caused them to delay it for a day or not. Who knows? But either way, now it is here. So the scooper, I believe it was Daniel Rickman, he wasn't 100% right, but he was certainly in the ballpark because it dropped like one day later. So I'm just going to take away all points for that. But anyway, trailer is here, featuring Black Captain America. And Thunderstorm says, yes, episode 3 allegedly a Stan Lee concept and project film. Interesting comparing Stan Lee film to Captain Falcon film with the Spider-Man appearance. Okay, yeah, I don't.
He's talking about Civil War, I think, is what he means. He's referring to when he says episode 3. Is that what he means? I'm still fucking confused as shit. Sorry, Thunderstorm. You don't have to send in another super chat. Just add us in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm not understanding what you mean, unless you mean the episode 3 of the series.
Basically means that the Civil War concept is a Stan Lee storyline. Maybe.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But there's nothing Stan Lee about this, though, because this then is the feature film, which has now gone through several different iterations. It was supposed to be out when the McDonald's promotion of this movie was out back in March.
And actually, I think that was its second date, to be honest with you, but I could be wrong.
Well, at least that's when that's the time when McDonald's agreed to it, and they wouldn't shift it anymore as the movie went back to even more reshoots. But now that it's here, let's begin with our feelings on the trailer. So, Cultured Casino, let's begin with you. You've seen the trailer. What's your general impressions of it?
I was disappointed, but not surprised. I feel like they're going to lean into the show in a way that, makes no sense. They've got people not watching their things, but now you've created another film that's going to require homework. They also did something incredibly disrespectful in the trailer itself when they replaced Ross and just blew it off as like, oh, you had to shave the mustache. Just a lot of other things that went into this. I don't know that even acknowledging it was a good plan. Visually, it looks fine. The plot looks familiar for some reason. I'm going to have to try to figure out why. And I don't, I have no incentive to see this film other than obviously my audience. And that's only to review it. So this will be one where I will tell the truth beginning to end, take copious notes and deal with, because even if this is a somewhat popular film, it has no prayer of breaking even. In fact, I almost guarantee this will lose $200 million. So this is going to be a problem for them.
I mean, honestly, as far as what feels similar, I could be wrong, but it's got a lot of the same elements Incredible Hulk did.
Red Hulk is in it.
Well, no, I don't mean just because of that, but I mean, it almost feels like you have, the same Thunderbolt Ross playing the same role in this, but only instead of replace what's his face, Tim Roth's character with Falcon, it feels like at first. And it feels like he's going to realize, oh, this guy's dirty, and that's where the flip's going to be. But I mean, that's pretty much what the Incredible Hulk was about, was they're up against the Hulk, and then he talks Tim Roth's character into taking that fucked up Hulk serum, and he turns into the Abomination. So my point, I think at some point here, because it almost looked like he gets some sort of super strength. I think they're going to give him super strength in this movie. I could be wrong.
Thunderbolt Ross, you mean? Harrison Ford's character?
No, we already know he's going to get it, but I think Falcon's going to get it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because there was that scene where he punched and did the thing, and it looked like he threw the I don't know what that explosion was from, but it's almost like it's implying that he's now got, with the whole "you're not Steve Rogers" bit. I think he's gonna end up juicing up at some point.
Or he's going to quit being Captain America.
Nope, he's not. I guarantee they're never gonna not. Andre, what's our biggest gripe about this thing? Think about it for a minute. We've said time and time and time again, he don't even have the super serum powers.
Yeah, I know.
So what are they going to do this movie? They're going to end up giving him the super serum powers, so we no longer have a reason to bitch. I could be wrong, but if I'm right, you know what we're going to hear.
Because there were rumors. I think Doomcock sources said something about it, that in the end, they're going to move away from Captain America to there just being a captain, and they're going to shift it away from this character who the audience hasn't really accepted as the captain, and go for a female the captain instead, namely Captain Britain, lifted straight from the multiverse.
Perhaps, but I can see them being content with a black Captain America too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is one thing that I will say. After all of the rounds of reshoots, we don't really know what
could be all of them.
Going to be. It could go any direction. The only thing is that based on everything we have seen so far, and even after seeing the trailer, I mean, full disclosure, I was burned out on this movie to begin with. I have completely and utterly lost all faith in Kevin Feige and his team of yes men around him. I do not believe that they are physically capable of creating any good Marvel content any longer. The only people who can do that are outsiders. Case in point, Deadpool versus Wolverine. That looks fantastic, and it's made by outside blood, not by Kevin Feige's trust of yes men. This comes from Kevin Feige's trust of yes men. The same people that gave us WandaVision, the same people that gave us Secret Invasion, the same people that gave us the Marvels. This all comes from the same brain trust, and that's what I don't trust about it. So I have to be honest, I went into this thing expecting to dislike it. Now, of course, I could be won over by a really kick-ass trailer, but there was nothing kick-ass in this, nothing at all. Not even the reveal of the Red Hulk, a character I never got into or never liked in the comics even. I mean, I'd rather they fix the Green Hulk, or hell, give us the Gray Hulk, give us Joe Fix-It Hulk. That'd be freaking awesome. Instead of going into the Red Hulk. I guess that's Red Hulk must have some fans out there, but I'm not one of them. I mean, to me, he's just such an unbelievably derivative character.
What's interesting about Disney's Marvels is that they just don't want to hold on to the original superheroes that we all love. I don't understand this jettisoning of them as if they believe they've created a real world that needs some realistic superhero world, that Steve Rogers could not be endlessly recast and just keep giving us Steve Rogers, just keep giving us Iron Man, keep giving us Hulk and Thor, and just keep recasting them. I mean,
well, that's what I've said too. Yeah.
and for all intents and purposes, every time they got a new artist to helm a comic book, you got a completely different style. It's the exact same thing as hiring a new actor for that role. You get a different style. McFarlane's Batman, Spider-Man, where it was not the same as the previous art, like a Neil Adams Spider-Man, and you could enjoy both of them. This is what I don't get about Disney Marvel, as if just because humans, real people, are populating these comic book characters. Sorry about the balloons. That was completely unintentional. That somehow they've got to treat it. Now, Steve Rogers is now dead. And so is Wakanda, the Wakanda dude, who I loved.
Black Panther.
Black Panther. I loved Black Panther. I love Black Panther more than I like, I'm sorry, Black Steve Rogers. And I don't understand. Oh, no, he's gone. We've buried him. That's it. No more. That's not how the comic book business ever worked. They ran those characters until they drained them.
No, I agree with you, Paul.
It's stupid.
I like certain aspects of like the continuity and certain other things, but I'm kind of getting with you where I'd rather just go back to the days where almost every movie was different, and a new director could bring a new spin to it. We might be getting a new Batman this time. You know what I mean?
Like of movies, like the Nolan Batmans.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I don't have a problem with going back to that anymore because, frankly, a lot of things I'm getting sick and tired of. A, not feeling like I'm seeing a complete story. Right. B, the problem with this Captain Falcon film, I didn't watch the damn series, and I'm not going to. I don't want to. I don't want to have to do homework. That was my biggest gripe with Star Wars, and I definitely don't want to do it with Marvel. Because Marvel is such a broad world, and the characters are so interesting, and you have so much there, like you were saying. Like, A, there's no reason for us to have to do some of the shit that we're doing here. Like, you could almost have these...
There's no reason. They've made it so hard on themselves.
Exactly.
I don't get it.
You could have so many separate things, and yes, they can cross over from time to time, but this idea of, like, with Agatha and Captain Falcon and coming up what's the other one coming up? The Thunderbolts. Like, the problems with all of those films right there, and maybe even Deadpool and Wolverine, we're not even sure yet, because I'll get to that in a second. Problem with these first three that I mentioned, though, is that you have so much fucking homework to bog you down to get into them that at this point, I don't blame most people for just saying, fuck it. I don't want to deal with it no more.
What's
now,
funny is
Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm worried that's also going to have the same problem because they're talking about it, what is it, Comic-Con or whatever is coming up here where they're going to be doing a big push for it. They got a big thing for the TVA where you get a whole tour of the TVA. So I'm sitting here going, oh, great. How much of Loki will I have had to have seen now to understand what's going on here?
They won't.
I hope not. But anyway, you were going to say, Paul. I just wanted to finish that point.
No, I don't think that's going to be a problem in the movie. It's interesting that we never talk about Bucky and the Falcon series, which actually up until that moment where the Falcon dressed down the congressman, I thought was a fairly good. I really actually, recalling it, I enjoyed that series. No one talks about it. You remember, right? They had, I guess, the Winter Soldier and
Baron Zemo and stuff. Yeah, no one talks about it because no one watched it. Much you may have enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was the most normal Marvel thing that they had done, and I completely forgot about it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I thought that was the one. I can tell you why, because it really wasn't that special. It entertained you right there in the moment, but it didn't stick with you after that.
Probably.
Unlike all of the other Marvel stuff from before, the magic was gone. And to answer your point about the recasting with Iron Man and Captain America, why don't they just James Bond it? They should, and they probably will. But the problem is, if they do it right now, it's not going to help. The only thing they can do is ruin those characters as well. Because in my book, the fundamental problem is that they no longer have the institutional knowledge to actually do the MCU right, which is ironic because Kevin Feige has been there the whole time, but he wasn't the one in charge of everything the whole time. He wasn't the main architect. He was one of the doers, but he was never the main architect. And the moment he got promoted to main architect, that's when the MCU went to hell. And that's what we're seeing right now. This is Kevin Feige running the show completely unchecked and unfettered to do it exactly as he wants, without anyone keeping him in check, making sure that what he's doing actually makes sense, is good, has an audience, and is interconnected in a way that makes the audience want to come back. Part of the problem here, like you mentioned, all the stuff about homework, well, that is by design, because Bob Iger, he really wanted to sell Disney Plus. So this was one of his demands. He brags about it in his book. He basically wants every single iteration of the MCU to be must-watch, so that the movies don't make sense without you having seen the series first. So if you like the Marvel movies, well, now you're just going to have to subscribe to Disney Plus and watch each and every one of the series, because that's the only way to get caught up. Now, he obviously
so how did
thought
playing Les Moonves work
that
out
the
for
brand was so popular that everyone would instantly fall in line instead of just walking away from the brand, which is what has happened.
And I reiterate again, how did playing Les Moonves work out for them?
Not very well at all. It didn't work out any better than it did for Les Moonves.
Exactly my fucking point.
From a business perspective, I can see that kind of thought would give them all woodies.
Yeah, you can see, you can see how that works from a business perspective.
I can see
but
that.
The
it works on paper just as much as it does.
reality.
Yeah, it works just as much on paper as it does like, oh, well, if we diversify this, we'll get a broader audience, right?
Exactly.
It's all the same shit. It's the same kind of crap they see on paper. Yeah, statistically by money or whatever, like more means more, right? Or you make it to where you have to do this, to do this, to do this, to get to this. Well, of course people are going to, no, they're not. Like, and I think they're learning that finally, hopefully.
My biggest problem with this trailer, amongst many, many things, is the fact that they went for a giant bombastic landscape. And I went, okay, I'm not interested in blowing up the Capitol building, the White House. Like, this is totally Roland Emmerich territory. And I'm not interested. It's too big. It's bigger than this character deserves. That's the problem. Every Marvel movie is a global nihilistic conflict that and it's so tiresome. And they haven't learned the lesson. I don't need it this fucking big.
No.
Nobody
needed this movie, period.
No. I'm not talking. I'm just talking about this particular trailer and saying, really, you're going to blow up the White House yet again. How many times have we seen this? Did I see anything really new in it? Now, that being said, it looks great. It looks like a feature film. I'll give them that.
I guess. I mean, I look forward to not seeing this movie and not reviewing it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, but Tom, I don't have a choice. I mean, it's just, this is one of those I have to go see, or I can't talk intelligently.
Tom may not have a choice either. He just doesn't know it yet.
I'm not watching Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier show, so I'll have not done the homework to get here. I'm not wasting that many hours of my fucking life. I don't have that long to live.
I'm curious
to waste that much of my life.
How well does the movie work for someone that hasn't seen the Captain Falcon show?
Well, someone will tell you, Tom. Someone will watch the movie on your behalf and tell you, no, you didn't need to see the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I will do that. I saw a movie, so you didn't have to.
So did you watch the series Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I watched the first episode and was done.
Oh, really? I didn't think.
Yeah, so he hasn't watched it either.
Yeah,
well, you see, Culture Casino, he has his homework too. He also has to see the rest of the series. And lest we forget, there is also that Rebel Moon or whatever that comes in director's cut versions.
Oh, I'm not watching that,
Andre. I'm not watching that.
Oh, I'm not watching that.
you can't write a big enough check. Can't.
Hey, the audience is with me in my boycott. Actually,
I'm, in deference to the fact that people genuinely die of cancer. Rebel Moon, the Rings of Power, and Acolyte is like being on chemo.
So I'm saying I don't have time. Like, look, I'm probably past the midpoint of my life, maybe more because I'm chubby. Okay, fuck it. I'm fat. I'm not going to waste my time with the shit like this anymore. Like, I got better things to do, like watching Cobra Kai, right? Like, why would I waste my time with this?
No, but that's not. I mean, obviously, if you have a review channel, then this is
True.
This is your business.
Fair. But at the same time, there's other things I can review and talk about.
Absolutely.
And at this point, I have tuned out of Marvel so badly that I don't really care anymore.
Well, people ask me why am I reviewing
all of us used to love the MCU. And when it has even turned us, the most hardcore built-in fans, people that love this stuff so much that we actually started YouTube channels and did this whole thing. And the love for the MCU was a very big part of that. And now we're all actively dreading this movie and we don't want to see it. I mean, that's not a good start for a movie that cost, what, $400-500 million to make, since they've remade it 3 times over. It has a break-even point of, what you think, Culture, $1 billion?
Yeah, no one cares about this character.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, nobody wants Falcon Cap. They want Steve Rogers back. That's all.
Yeah.
True. But at the same time, I will say, Andre, this has to make $1 billion if it's going to break even.
That's what I mean.
We have no idea how much extra is being sent on this beyond the admitted $400 million at this point. So I can't even imagine. This film will lose money. It's just how much. I'm going to stick with my previous guess, which was pretty close with Indiana Jones. This is going to lose a couple $100 million.
I'm just glad that there's lit up clear plexiglass screens with people drawing on it with grease pencils. That's all. I'm just so thankful to see once again.
You are such a nerd.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah.
Well, no, also the other side of this, look, to be honest, part of my protest is I just don't see why there's any use for this in the MCU. I have gone this long without seeing Falcon and Winter Soldier, and guess what? I ain't noticed.
Now, I thought someone said he was going to be defalconed and he's just going to have the shield, but in the trailer, I mean, you're showing it here. Well, he does have his wings.
Well, there is, like I said, the aspect where it does there's that moment or two in the trailer where it kind of gave me the impression that he might eventually get powers. So I wonder if he's going to switch over afterwards. Maybe.
But I mean, they also show him where the shield is over his ass, which I think is wise, because then he'll stop, getting ass shots. But there is that weird frame where 2 baddies go after him and he crouches down and puts the shield over top of him. And what do? They poke the shield, because that's the first thing I would do. Oh, let's hit the part that's actually protecting the guy. Like, that's so lame. It's terrible. Like, just that one moment was terrible.
It's Disney, Paul.
Oh my God.
By the way, why are you putting the stun batons on the shield?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Why? I mean, that thing bounces bullets. It's made of vibranium.
Yeah. Well, they're not using any of their brainium.
Well, no kidding. And why does the Falcon's wings now look like discount siding on a steel building? I'm just wondering.
It's aluminum siding, man. Yeah. Maybe that's what Disney's going to get into. This is how they're going to make extra money.
The aluminum siding business?
Falcon's aluminum siding, branded siding for your house.
Hi, I'm Sam Wilson. I'm here to talk about siding.
Siding, that's right. Have you considered siding?
Well, this evidently is how he compensates for presumably not yet having the Steve Rogers super soldier powers. He's still Falcon, and which is what he honestly should be. That's how everyone loves him as Falcon. Because here's the thing. I would watch the hell out of a well-written, well-directed Falcon movie because Falcon is an awesome character all in his own right. There's a moment when you try to force him into something that he's not. I mean, I wouldn't have any interest in a Steve Rogers Iron Man movie by like him becoming Iron Man. It's like the same thing here. This is like this stupid Victoria Alonso thing. If you just take over a character's powers, you become that character, and the audience are stupid cattle that won't notice a difference because they're in love with the suit and the
Did they ever
powers.
get an idea of who the antagonist was? Because it looked like a black guy with superpowers who could leap through.
Yes, he came. Yes, it's
Giancarlo Esposito.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
He came in the most recent round of reshoots, and he is now the new villain that came in the third round of reshoots. So he's a very new villain. He wasn't there in the original shoot. He wasn't there for the first round of reshoots, but he's there now. So probably they have removed the Orange Man bad subplot and inserted Carlos Esposito instead. And he's
I
a
love
cool
him.
actor, but yeah,
I
he's very,
love
very
him.
good.
Oh my God, do I love him to death?
Yeah,
He
he's
is
brilliant.
so good.
But what kind of character he plays here, don't know. I have not been able to recognize him from what he looks like at any rate.
Well, he's in The Boys.
Yeah, well, so much for him being an X-Men, like people were thinking.
Well, he suddenly, in old age, he is taken off, and I think what relaunched his career was
Breaking
playing
Bad.
the Emperor, the Empire, the
That and Breaking
No,
Bad,
it was
yeah.
Breaking Bad.
Oh,
was
Breaking
Breaking
Bad.
Bad.
Okay, which I never
Yeah.
saw.
What?
Yeah, I saw the first show and I went,
I haven't
"Oh,
either.
This is too creepy."
Repent.
I'm sorry, I couldn't handle it. Too much tension.
See, well, maybe that's what I should do instead of seeing Falcon and the Winter
Oh.
Soldier.
You know,
movie.
actually, well, you would
is
have
watch
a
Breaking Bad.
much better time watching Breaking Bad, and then the prequel Better Call Saul, which is even better.
Oh man,
Better things to do with my time.
I am not doubting Breaking Bad was good. I watched the first 3 episodes of Breaking Bad, and I get too involved in a story emotionally. I couldn't deal with it.
Oh, it's brilliantly done.
Oh no, I'm not doubting that.
But Paul, so few things have that quality of writing nowadays.
Oh,
it stands in stark contrast. And so when you watch it, you're like you're going to be staggered, knocked back by it because the dialogue is brilliant.
Listen,
yeah.
You could tell that it was good within the first 3 episodes. I mean, The Sopranos that's a series that will maybe
stand
never
the
get
test
matched.
of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of that anymore. So when I see it, I get really excited.
Now, what I don't understand is these examples exist. Why can't the studios point like the people who did Acolyte or whatever? Okay, I want you to sit down and watch The Sopranos. Can you at least just make it entertaining like this, please? These examples exist.
But that's not their agenda, Paul. That's anti their agenda. You don't want to make.
If it was their agenda, they couldn't if they tried because they do not have the skill or the talent.
I'm afraid Andre's right.
I'm not afraid. I know he's right. I don't have to be in fear of that. He's 100% right.
Well, let's just agree that I'm right, and one can choose if one afraid of it or not. But that's kind of like the issue. That goes back to why I'm not excited for this, no matter how expensive it may look or something. The problem here is the people behind the scenes. It's not Anthony Mackie. He's brilliant. So is Carlos Esposito.
I love
people who are
Carlos
not brilliant are Kevin Feige and all of his yes men around him who are destroying the MCU. And I fear that this movie is just going to do further damage to the MCU. Maybe not as much as certain other projects, but still, I don't think anything good can come from this. It can only undo the goodwill that came from Deadpool and Wolverine, and set the stage for an even worse movie in Thunderbolts, which I believe is going to be a worse movie, and that's the movie that actually could use some Red Hulk.
Well, let me say something controversial. We're making some very big assumptions on two fronts. One, that Deadpool and Wolverine will be good.
That is a heavy assumption. I will grant that.
And second, that Alcoa Aluminum will appear in the credits on this film.
Well, I got this to say in this only. We have talked a hell of a lot longer than I ever thought we would about this trailer, and we've talked a hell of a lot longer about this trailer than I ever would have wanted to. So, on that note, unless there's anything more, I think we can move on from here.
I think we probably can.
See what you guys are saying.
Let's just say that we weren't sold on the trailer, any of us.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
too big. Just too big. And I don't know what the interesting danger is. I don't know what what exactly the antagonist wants.
Yeah, we don't know what the story is.
I don't know what the story is.
Probably they don't know either. We do know the super chats, though, with Callum Lyle saying for $5 Australian, I don't care about this dumb trailer. The VFX are terrible. It's not going to be about Falcon. It's about the woman who's a Mary Sue. Well, honestly, who knows exactly what they're going to do? I'm sure there's going to be some Mary Sues in it.
Is there a lead woman in it? I missed it.
Well, after all of the reshoots and stuff, who knows? Yeah, you have some women of the previous movies who are going to be there. But exactly which ones and in which roles, cannot say, not anymore. But moving on from there, let's see. Callum Lyle also says for $5, did the Dyke Witch in Acolyte live, since black women in Star Wars and Marvel can move their organs to survive a stab? Well, there's one episode left in the Acolyte, so who knows? But I don't think so. I think the strong black leader of the community, the yes woman, is probably no longer with us. But who knows?
That was the weirdest scene. I have no idea what that meant and why they needed to do that. And I didn't get that. I just did not get that sequence at all.
Yeah, and then Thunderstorm said that episode 3 of the TV series is Stanley film. And Coloring Rogue brought in, was episode 3 the main part of the U.S. agent storyline? Yeah, because I'm still confused. Episode 3 of the TV series is a Stanley film. Okay, so is it based on one of the? Yeah, yeah. Is that you like compressed what you were saying into a smaller thing now? So it's like it's not helping. Thunderstorm, are you saying it's based on one of his comics? I think that's what we're grasping to this point, but we're trying desperately to understand what you're getting at here.
And then we have to remember the episode 3 of the series, which I don't. I remember the sequence on the train.
Yeah, no way. Yeah, I don't remember.
I remember the train sequence.
So I wish I could help you out on that one.
Yeah, don't make me work, Thunderstorm. That's your job.
Trying to find more that have to do with the Falcon bit. Mr. Tickle Trunk's in the house. He's been here for 39 months. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk, for all that you do. It's a shame there's no more Falcon. That character was pretty cool. They never did much with him, sadly. Shame he's wearing a hand-me-down identity. Exactly.
Well, you know what? If they changed his name to Flacon de Blé, that's French for cornflakes. So rather than the Falcon, it should be the Flacon de Blé.
How about Siding Man?
Siding Man, Tin Man, like the movie.
Yeah. Oz never did give nothing to the Tin Man.
No, Tin Man. Yeah, that's right. And have Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh yeah,
in it. That's such a good movie, especially if any relative of yours was a salesperson from that era. Then that movie will make you cry. I mean, it's such a good movie.
And then we got
anymore.
Bad Take Bojan, who's here and been here for 22 months. Thank you so much. Says, I'm happy to conduct an MCU tutoring session for you, Tom. No homework needed. Oh my. Well, I may have to take you up on that. It might be more interesting than
You know
watching
what? The YouTube is suffuse with summary videos. So if you want,
no, they got them on Disney Plus even, man.
oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, summary of Babylon season 1. You can get it. Babylon 5 season 1. I mean, the stuff is there. I'm sure there's someone who's done a compilation video of the Falcon, the Flacon de
I'm
Blé,
sure they have.
the
Even
Winter
like I said,
Soldier.
even Disney Plus has. But here's my problem is when somebody else edits one of those things, I kind of feel like, okay, so you're deciding for me what is important. Where,
yeah, but if you're not willing to watch the show anyway, then
right,
then who
that's
cares?
fair. But I'm one of those people where, like, at that point that I'm like, well, I'm not going to just sit here and watch some thing. I'm just going to watch the show. Like, that's the thing. It's because to me, it's like I find things and pick things out sometimes that some others may not.
Sure, true.
So, like, to me, it's like if I'm not seeing the initial things, I'm not going to watch some.
I don't know if it's the difference between 10 minutes of
I agree with you.
Marginal pain compared to this acolyte chemotherapy that we're going through.
I guess a better way of putting it is I almost see it as cheating. And then there's
are
also
you
stuff I
telling me
could miss
that as
out
a
on.
student you never cheated? Are you telling me that you never
Not
got
really.
one of those?
I never seen the point in it.
What are the abbreviated book summations called in the United States? Up in Canada, they were called Cole's Notes.
Oh, they're usually, I think they're Cliff Notes here.
Cliff
but like,
Notes, that's it.
Yeah, but see, the thing with those is like I always had the fear of like the teacher would ask me the one fucking question.
Oh yeah, no.
It's not in the goddamn Cliff Notes.
No.
That's kind of where that comes from. Actually, it's funny you brought that up.
Yeah, but teachers were always prepared up here to ask the questions that were only in the Cole's Notes, and then then they wouldn't know anything else. Although, I mean, I did bullshit my way through school once using those, but I'm a good bullshitter.
Nah,
well,
I guess
you're
I'm
a comedy
too honest
writer.
for that. Maybe
that's true.
This is true, Stan. I only cheat on diets.
I don't know which came first there, Culture, whether my ability to get through school without really doing much at all, or my comedy writing. I don't know what started what.
You're such a fascinating person. I'm gonna have to interview you again.
I'm happy to get on your show.
Yeah, you're amazing.
We got Michael Nemo here who sends in 5, says I've been giving Ang Lee's Hulk rewatch, and honestly, it's aged better than anything the MCU did with Ruffalo or Norton, in my opinion. I don't know about the Norton one, but yeah, I didn't hate it like everybody else does, Andre especially, but yeah. What were you gonna say, Culture?
No, I was supporting that statement that it did age very well. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, and I didn't hate it. I just think it's a waste of opportunity because it could have been even more if it had been a little bit less esoteric.
Well, like I said, it's the third act is where it goes off the rails.
Yeah, that's where it goes off.
Once Daddy turns into a fart cloud instead of an old man Hulk, which is what I think the audience was expecting and hoping for by the time we get to this concept, It's like, okay, what the hell is this? He's fighting a cloud. Like, what the fuck? That's where the movie went off the rails for me. Otherwise, I agree with you pretty much. Taylor Swift, greater than Disney, Star Wars, and MCU, and Doctor Who now.
Yeah.
Sends in $2 and says Ford complains about Star Wars than he does this film. Well, paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, he's at the end of his run. He's gonna take those paycheck deals, and it's great to see you, Matt G.
Callista wants to go on a vacation,
and he can't fly anymore.
I can fly. I just can't land.
My wife and I met Callista Flockhart in the subways of Paris.
Oh, really?
Oh, I thought you meant like a subway, like.
No. So we were in Paris. We were on the subway, and a French person who could speak English quite well was trying to explain to her where the one of the stops were, and he was speaking English like this, and it was very nice. And by the time he finished, he thought that he explained it very well to Miss Flockhart, who was standing right next to us. And he left the train, and then she sort of shook her head. And my wife and I realized she couldn't understand him at all. Like she didn't get it because the accent was too heavy, hard for her. And so I elbowed my wife, who knows French, and I said, "Tell her where her stop is, and she did. So she explained to Callista Flockhart, "Oh yeah, it's just 2 more stops, and then there you are, and then it's done." And she thanked us, and she's tiny, like really tiny.
She's very diminutive.
She wears like I don't even realizes how she could barely cover Ford's penis. Like she's just tiny.
Jesus Christ. Callum Lyle sends in 5 Australians, says, "We can't have Steve Rogers because he's white. And T'Challa Jr. in third movie is rumored to be raised by only women, so he's ghetto." Oh, lovely. Yeah, they're still pushing forward with a third film. Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, no male role model in his life.
Hey, the WNBA is hating on Caitlin Clark for being white. So it's
so what Thunderstorm is saying is that Spider-Man is in Captain Falcon.
Oh,
in this movie, you mean? Because he wasn't in the show, was he, Andre?
No, I don't think so. But he could very well be in the movie.
But
I'm
Spider-Man
sure
was in one of the Avengers movies.
Here. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Spider-Man does make a cameo. I mean, with the new deal between Marvel and Sony, I'm sure even Sony would like for Spider-Man to appear until they get some more Spider-Man projects rolling.
So they're going to do this, all these cameos. They're going to throw in Bert Convy and they're just going to go for all the big cameos, because Spider-Man was in one of the Avengers, right? And that
he was in several.
Yeah,
he was even introduced in Captain America: Civil War. That's where he was introduced, and then he was in both Avengers movies after that. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if he were to appear in this movie as well in some capacity.
I don't know. They only got so many appearances left with him, so I'm not sure if they're going to waste it on this. No, they're still in that second contract yet, I thought.
No, the second contract is done. We're in the third contract now.
Well, anyways, the president is under attack by some nefarious entity.
He appeared to be facing in an election. At least that was my reading of it.
Well, even if we're in the final contract, I could have swore the way it went, or this next one, I could have swore all it went was like two appearances in Avengers films and 2 more Spider-Man.
Hold on. I just thought of something. Esposito isn't heading up a January 6th insurrection, is he?
That was part of the kind of what they were dealing with, but that was before the reshoot. What they're doing now, who knows?
Okay, so here are the people we know for sure will be in this. Liv Tyler is returning. Tim Blake Nelson.
As the elf?
No, as Betty Ross. The Thunderbolt Ross's daughter.
Yeah, Betty Ross.
I don't even remember.
The Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's see. Tom Holland.
So there it is.
Yeah. Well, where are you getting this?
Yeah, where are you getting this from?
A couple of different places. I'm trying to confirm it. But Liv Tyler for
just
sure.
List the cast?
I'm trying to find it because it doesn't say on IMDb, at least not in the area that I'm looking. So I'll
as of April,
go ahead.
As far as Spider-Man goes, Tom Holland had said that he had finished. I don't know if they have a new deal set yet, Andre, because this is from April of 2024, and it says here they're talking about how he finished up his 6 appearances. Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I don't know if he has any left.
Well, I have to read up on that. But
I know they're working on 4, but remember that has been kind of just languishing for a while. Maybe that's why. Maybe Amy Pascal's pulling her shit again.
She is such bad news.
Somebody might be.
Here's a link.
Because you would think we'd have a Spider-Man 4 in production by now, especially after Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay, so you got this out of Forbes. Okay, well maybe they got a new deal in place then. Maybe you're right.
It could very well be that there is a deal without them having publicly announced it. There's no law that says that they have to announce like a new casting deal. That's something that they could keep close and then release it when it benefits them marketing wise.
Okay, so I see. I don't know where exactly you get this from. This is just them editorializing, I think.
It's
As for
Paul
the new
Tassi.
Avengers, yeah, as for the new Avengers, that's anyone's guess at this point. Bruce is still the Hulk, but has been in space and now has a son. She-Hulk is around, but her show got canceled. Shang-Chi could be a powerful new force. Thor is still kicking. Shuri is the new Black Panther. Tom Holland is Spider-Man. Is there, but maybe going street level in the future? So is that where you're getting this from, or where are you seeing his name?
It's one of the sources out there. So I'm just going through trying to find and confirm.
Yeah, I don't know if that necessarily means he's in the movie.
Well, again, it's Paul Tassi, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from, though. It's plausible, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Because last I heard, they haven't gotten anything in place for Spider-Man 4 yet. That was
we're waiting for further confirmation on that. Let's just put it that way.
Because last I knew, like, that was what I was saying, is I think he was pretty much up with his contract. But anyhow, that being said, like I said, we've already talked way longer about this trailer than I planned on, but we got a few more super chats to get through here. Midnight Sun says, with $6.99 Canadian, would you be more intrigued to see Captain 4 if Hugo Weaving's Red Skull was the main villain? Well, I would, but it only means anything if Steve Rogers is there. Because
there's no relation.
Falcon has never met Red Skull, so yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Andre.
So honestly, no, I wouldn't. And then Red Skull would have to get back from Thanos' lair, where he's like right now the guardian of one of the Infinity Stones. So actually, no, I wouldn't be more intrigued. I think I would be less intrigued.
And this is the proof of the ongoing incompetence and lack of fun boys approach to Feige and Marvel, in that I know what they're thinking. They're going, oh my God, we froze Steve Rogers, and then he stayed in the frozen state until he got unfrozen in the present, and we can't go back anymore and use some of the cool Red Skull shit because that's now done. And these people are stupid. They don't understand comics, and that you do whatever it is that you need to do. I mean, how many times has Batman, Spider-Man, Superman died in comics on the cover, and then you read it and you go, well, they didn't quite die. Like, the comic books were the original, what do you call it? The thumbnails when you're clickbait. The covers on the comic books were the original clickbait. They started it all, right? And so, but we got used to it and we didn't care. It was fun how are they going to explain this? I mean, just make a movie from World War II and have Steve Rogers fight Red Skull. Without apologies. Just do it. Like, who cares? I don't understand it.
And this is one thing that always gets me back to what Captain America 4 should be about. And it should be about Steve Rogers putting the stones back throughout time.
And I'd like to see him with
and then he would come face to face with,
and plus he should be back with the British chick with the huge boobs.
I just forgot her name.
We have our priorities, right?
But but like then he would come face to face with Red Skull again. But then part of it would be is Red Skull would have to explain to him he's not the same Red Skull that he knew.
But right? Don't even update anybody. Just like put him back into World War II. Like, just
the whole thing would be him going back through time throughout the various points.
No, going back through time. Just do an episode of him fighting in World War II. No apologies.
So it's a prequel, basically.
It is a prequel, but
we got that movie. It's called Captain America: The First Avenger. But you're not listening to what I'm saying, though, Paul. At the end of Endgame,
right?
He leaves, goes back in time, and then he shows back up as old man Steve, remember?
Right.
Because he had spent the last however many years putting the stones back where they belong.
Right.
Because he only had so many jumps. And then he decided to stay back in time with Peggy. I just remembered her name.
That's right, Peggy.
Which I agree with you. Peggy could join along with him. But that's the story I think a lot of people would like to see, is him putting the stones back. Because that was the whole thing, is to get to that point. That's what he had to do. Yeah.
You know what? And that's just another story. I'm just simplifying.
But that was where I was saying you can have him come face to face with the Red Skull again. That was my whole point.
Yeah. No, and you're doing it within the context of what they created, which is
And it
fine
also
too.
opens the door to bring back Black Widow, because I brought up the point of, we know what happens when you take a stone, but what happens when you bring it back?
But again, my point is, you don't have to do any of that. Just make like as Andre says, it's essentially a prequel story. Like, who cares? Comic books are very different.
They're
Well,
not
I have
smart
no
enough
problem
for
with that either, but yeah, they're not going to do that either. But no, I hear you. I wouldn't mind if they just.
I mean, that's
James
very
Bond
clever
this
what you
thing.
just said. I think that's pretty cool. That keeps it within the realm of what they've created.
Exactly.
Well, the movie just ends on the bench where he sits down and
yep. Yeah. He does a Benjamin Button.
Yeah, exactly. And too bad that they didn't consider this and instead give us all the crap we have gotten since. Yeah. But moving on.
Well, this is how stupid their world is, though. This is how stupid this encroachment thing has gotten too, because before we move too far away from this, Yellow Flash, who might show up yet today, he's had a tweet that went viral or whatever, pretty popular, where basically they pointed out that none of the Avengers were allowed to show up to T'Challa's funeral.
Yeah.
And that's a problem with this world when you do that kind of crap. Like, it's like, where's Iron Man? Or not Iron Man, but I mean, where's not Steve Rogers, even this Captain Falcon guy. I almost forgot his name now. Anthony Mackie's character. What is his name in the show? The actual character.
Wow.
To call him Captain Falcon anymore. I forgot his damn name.
Yeah.
Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson. Yeah, I was muted. I was like, why can't they hear me? Oh, I'm mute on.
Yeah. Because you're always muted and you don't realize it. You know, like Sam and all those guys weren't there, Hawkeye and all that business. Like, where was everybody? Like Spider-Man. But anyway, Midnight Sun says we got this one already, so we got to keep moving. We got let's see here. We got SFX Sabretooth Raptor saying with 5, I would rather watch Mexican Iron Man squirm watching Elf than Marvel and Star Wars now. I am done with Marvel. Well, I'm not completely done with Marvel, but I'm maybe very selective of what I see. And I think they really need to get back to kind of what we were saying before, is find a way to make this shit work without everything having to overlap with everything else and you having to have seen everything else to enjoy it.
That's my point.
I should be able to go to a
Spider-Man movie, you know.
I would also rather see Mike Gorm watch Alf for 2 hours than watch the current Captain America 4 for 2 hours. But hey, that's me.
And we also have Script Doctor joining us late today. How you doing?
Hello.
Doing well. I was on a call earlier, so I apologize for not being on.
As you should.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
we're glad to have you.
Yes, and then we've got Midnight Sun here. We got this one again. Dang it. I forgot to get rid of it. That was my fault. SFX Sabretooth Raptor sends in another 5 and says, I think he is Icarus. Just don't fly too close to the sun or his wings will fall apart. Yeah. Could be. And then Packing Proton says, apologies for the Mikey joke in the Benji tweet. Was just trying to enlighten the mood a bit with a serious topic. Condolences to his actually family, of course. No, of course. Yeah. No
worries.
Nobody had a problem.
All good, and thanks for the support.
And then Jason Webster, says this looks and smells worse than Condor Man.
Wow.
Man, Condor Man's a fun movie though.
No, deep cut.
It's terrible.
Come on, the guy sounds like Regis Philbin throughout the entire movie.
Oh my God.
I am Condor Man.
I mean, I absolutely love the actor who Frank Spencer, who played the lead, but holy smokes, is that ever? That's a Disney movie too.
Yeah,
Condor Man.
It is. Then Tommy
they
Review
could do a crossover
with that stupid car.
He could be a Marvel character now. Giancarlo Esposito plays George Washington Bridge. He was the former Merc and high rank in S.H.I.E.L.D. and appeared in X-Force, and he looks nothing like him. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's what they wasted him on this character. Because that was somebody who you actually, and look, I know this is not going to be a popular opinion with everybody, but when there was that rumors and rumblings that they were going to update the X-Men a little bit, and they were going to have Professor X and Magneto come, more from the civil rights era than the World War II era. They were looking at Giancarlo and possibly like Denzel or somebody else to play the two roles. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. And I know a lot of people are like resistant to that, but I'm like, look, you got to a point now where for Magneto and Professor X to still be alive, like, I mean, you got to remember, I mean, Magneto was already what, 10, 11, 12 when World War II was happening. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it'd make more sense if Magneto was actually part of the apartheid in South Africa.
You and I had this conversation. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot more recent, but it's like, at least he'd be probably 50 around this time if he was a teenager then. Yeah.
Yep. Somewhere around there. Or you could even play him as 60. It doesn't matter. And I mean, I know they age a little slower. That's kind of the thing that a lot of people say, but
well, I mean it's only really Wolverine's the only one that ages slower. I mean,
well,
it's all over the place, anyways.
Regardless, this is what they wasted him on. I'm sorry. And then we got I Cthulhu says Breaking Bad is terrible, doing banal things. Watch Banshee, Longmire, or Jesse Stone. Infinitely better material. Longmire's been one that's kind of been on my list for a while. I haven't got to. Gabatron says with 5, the Israeli Marvel character Saber is still in Cap 4. Oh, the one character. Well, yeah, the other Falcon guy. I didn't see him in the trailer though. Did you? At least I didn't notice him. We've seen his toy.
Didn't notice, no.
And I was the one who shared the original picture of him that time.
Yeah,
I remember.
indeed.
And then Elusive says the sad thing about the trailer is that it looks like it may have had the makings of a pretty good Falcon espionage movie, and Giancarlo Esposito is playing some bad guy. Yawn. Yeah, same thing, different day. And then Kalekioki says largely done with Disney after that O'Keefe story. Oh yeah, well we may get into that today. We did talk about it on Mead, and I got demonetized, but I fought it. It hasn't come back yet, so I don't know how that'll work out. We'll see on that. And then Mark Smith of 117B says, Paul, can you see the animation rig in 97? They don't have the experience to replicate an outdated animation, much less updated to modern styles. This is about X-Men 97.
Well, they're doing it computerized now, but they've duplicated the look and feel of the animation, which I don't think they needed to, because even back then, fans of the animation didn't think it was particularly good, especially in comparison to what Warner Brothers was doing with Batman, which was cutting edge at the time. We all made fun of it. Now it's become nostalgic somehow.
No, I mean, that animation, the stuff that Marvel did on Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and Hulk shows and their Iron Man shows, it was all over the place. It was actually more akin to the Hanna-Barbera laziness that they had to rush through, more so than what Warner Brothers was doing, which is like fine detail. They cared about it. They went to studios that literally bankrupted themselves trying to put out quality. Like, it wasn't out of poor mismanagement of the company. It was like, we want to make this the best thing ever. The animation studio in, I think it was South Korea, but I could be wrong, that did the Heart of Ice episode of Batman. They spent a lot of money doing this frosting on Mr. Freeze's helmet that also appeared transparent at the same time without damaging the initial animation. And it was so good, but they spent so much money that they almost went out of business just from that episode alone. Wow. And Warner Brothers said, "Hey, you don't have to go that far with it," but they said they loved working on it. And then eventually they did a couple more episodes before they went out of business, and because they spent more money.
Well, I think I was telling you, Paul, about how the Batman animated series was treated a lot differently than a lot of the other animated shows were at that time.
Well, even the Justice League wasn't as good as Batman.
They went to digital with Superman the animated series and stayed that way all the way through, and that's where everything kind of changed. Even though their keyframes were really, really good, between their shots, the quality was definitely streamlined a little bit more, where you didn't get as much interesting effects within each cartoon. On the Marvel side of things, it was literally like, all we have to do is hit our deadline. It doesn't matter if the quality is good or not, and you can tell a lot.
Wow. And then we got Mikey in the house, who's been a member for 39 months. Says, I might not be on the panel, but I hear you people. Or I hear what you people are saying. Brown Lives Matter, safe spaces for Mexicans.net. Now you gotta buy that, I think, if you put it out there. That's your fault.
That's right.
And then Fletcher Williams reminds you to subscribe to Midnight's Edge Espanol. Indeed. Do that.
Yeah, you're
Then we
just a Pauly shill, Fletcher.
Well, he could be Pauly Shore.
True.
I've been trying to get Pauly to come on the show. High Dragon Star.
He follows you, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
High Dragon Star sends in 5 and says, I feel we should stop using Captain Falcon. It insults the Super Smash F-Zero character. I suggest using Falcon America. Falcon America sounds like a car rental place.
I'm going for Captain Flacon de Blé. I'm going for Captain Flacon de Blé.
Flacon de Blé.
Aluminum Falcon.
Aluminum Falcon. I like that too.
Ford Falcon.
Yeah,
Ford Falcon.
That sounds like a bad car. Gabatron sends in 5 Canadians. Says, sorry, Saber is played by a female Israeli actress. That thought they would sideline her. Okay, so this is a different character then. Okay. I was getting mixed up with the other character. And then we got High Dragon Star who says Captain America or Falcon America 4 should have gone to Batgirl. Instead went to Dial of Destiny. They need a Zaslaw or Chapek to have cut their losses. Well, unfortunately, as Script and I have explained many times, and I know Andre and others have too, this is not like a TV show that they could have just canceled like Batgirl or Batwoman or whatever.
That was a movie.
Batgirl is a streaming movie that was not pre-sold to other markets.
Yeah.
It's very simple metrics for you guys out there in the chat. It's not a good joke. It's actually a really dumb joke trying to say they should just Batgirl stuff. No. When a movie is scheduled for theaters, that means that it's already been pre-sold, which means they have to deliver it or they give the money back. It's never going to be a cut losses thing with regards to a theatrical release. With a streaming movie like Batgirl, they didn't have to pre-sell it because they sold it to themselves. That's on their own distribution. They can cut it as a loss and get money back without any conflict internally. So making that joke is really not a joke. It's actually just showing you're not listening to anything that we're telling you with regards to how the industry functions. We definitely appreciate, the intent behind it, but it's not that simple. I'm sorry, it just isn't. What they really should be doing is just saying, not doing the reshoots. Just screw the reshoots, put it out there, get it out there quickly, and
cut their losses.
And cut their losses that way. Kind of like with The Flash. The Flash probably could have made money if they released it a year and a half earlier during the Ezra crap, and then just said, forget about it, and walked away because the result ended up being the same. So they literally just spent extra money after bad. Like Falcon America here, how many reshoots have they done? How many rewrites have they done? They could have released this last year and completely forgot about it, just like Ant-Man, Ant-Man 4, Ant-Man 3, Thor 4, Doctor Strange 2, all those types of things. I mean, it's just get it out there. If it's not working, just get it out there quickly so that you can actually gauge the audience and invest that money that you would have spent on reshoots into something that could possibly start making profit again.
Well, they basically funded 2 other movies. Script. I mean, they had
essentially.
Initially this got pushed 7 months. This thing isn't showing up until.
February.
Does this seem like a Valentine's Day movie to anybody?
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the thing is, they're also trying to edge out the pre-summer blockbuster market because February, limited competition. Maybe they're thinking, oh yeah, Deadpool, when that came out in February, that did well. It's like, no, you idiot. That they're playing into the fact that this was a low-budget film in a market where there isn't a superhero stuff, and they actually have a romantic comedy angle to it. That's why they scheduled it in February. They knew they could actually make a lot more money doing it that way. This Captain America, Falcon America thing, there's no way they're going to make a whole bunch of money in February because nobody's going to want to go see it now. You've already tarnished the reputation of the studio that's been putting it out this way. Even if you were to put into a summer or winter, doesn't matter where you place it. It's not going to make what you think because you've spent so much money reshooting it multiple times.
Indeed. And we're losing Paul here. Yep. So as Icelandic Filipino says, who's been a member for 13 months, you can never disagree with the Chato.
Oh no, I'm completely okay with that. I don't have a problem.
Nah. And then we got Jason Webster here who says, I would even rather have a Blue Falcon and Dynomutt live action film than Captain America Brave New World. Yeah, me too. I'm sure Paul would as well.
even with the Scoop movie that came out a few years back that featured it, wasn't horrible with those characters. I had fun with it.
And just with regards to Deadpool and its February release, its first one, you also had Marina in it, who I think is one of the most beautiful women in the movies. I'm completely in love with her.
Following too, so that also helps. I mean, everybody liked her from Firefly,
yeah.
And she was in Gotham for a bit, which
I mean,
but yeah, it's cool.
So let's talk real quickly about what happens around Valentine and February in general. How well do films do in February? Oh, sorry, Paul. Oh,
I have to
well,
go.
thanks for joining us, everyone. Make sure to check out
one of my channels, any of them. Yeah. I don't care.
Links to both are in the description.
I'm sorry, Paul.
Nice to see everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and hopefully see you
Monday.
Hopefully see you Monday.
Yeah, looking forward to having you.
See you, sir.
Take care, Paul.
Later, Paul.
Yeah, you must have missed the part culture where I said Paul has to go.
Then we started talking again. I thought he was gonna.
Yeah, I know. I just brought this one up because I figured if anybody was old enough to remember Dino Mutt, it was him.
Yeah. My question's still valid. What happens to films in February?
They suck. It's the month after fuck you January.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing. This year in that lovely week, you had Bob Marley, Madam Web, Argyle, Migration. I mean, February is where films go to die. The only films that survive are the ones that opened decent towards Christmas time and carried over.
And the other side of Deadpool is that also came out, and you guys got to remember, in the height of the superhero film craze. Like, we got to remember that. That was in the deep heart of it. So you could literally drop a superhero movie anytime, and it was going to do well at that point. Because at that point, everybody was ready to just go, here, take my fucking money, whenever there was something superhero involved. Because at that point, we hadn't hit that wall yet. And now, I got to say, like, there is no other time to release these other than maybe in the summertime and Christmas. And at this point, that's still a gamble, because you can't guarantee it anymore. Because after Doctor Strange, I think that the audience has gone, yeah, I'm not going to do all this goddamn homework. And I really do feel like that's the demarcation point. And if you look at it, that's where the downward slope goes. It's from Doctor Strange to Love and Thunder, and then it drops off a cliff for everything. Even, Marvel's being the worst performing movie they've ever had. They can sit there and claim all day long about the Hulk. Fuck that. With inflation, it is the worst. Let's be real, right, Culture? At the end of the day, do you add inflation to the Hulk probably made more money.
Yeah. Which is
definitely
insane.
Did.
Yeah. Which is insane, but yeah, adjusted for that time, indeed.
So we have hit that point where everybody has asked us for the last couple of years, when is that point? When is that point? That was that point. So now we're at that point now, unless it's a Spider-Man, a Deadpool, or possibly an Avengers. I don't even think that those are going to be a sure thing. And in Avengers, you have to have some heavy hitters there. You have to have at least a Spider-Man and a few other characters to go along with it, or nobody's going to show up.
The big problem for the Avengers right now, it's just the D team from everything we've had on Disney Plus. It's going to be Moonlight, it's going to be She-Hulk, it's going to be Shang-Chi, and all of that jazz. I mean,
well, you can say whatever you want about James Gunn.
No one wants.
You can say anything you want about James Gunn, but one thing he is smart about, he knows right now, is they've got to go with their heavy hitters, and they got to stick with the main roster first. The only one that makes me scratch my fucking head is Supergirl. Like, okay, fine. But like, other than that, like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, that shit makes sense. Green Flash, okay, that makes sense. Or Green Lantern, I mean, not Green Flash, Jesus. Green Lantern makes sense. That, the core group, the main A-listers, right? Like, stick with that first. Get that right. You don't even need to bring in a lot of this other B level crap. That can be your guest stars in other movies. I mean, he's already doing that in Superman. Now, that's a whole nother discussion. But that being said, like, at this point, I'm with Paul on this whole thing. They should just James Bond this shit. We just recast people and just keep going with stories. It's kind of loosely in the same continuity, but not exactly. Kind of like how Batman was.
Yep.
You have some people return, but They're
You
not
can
always the same
you have some
people.
overlaps. I mean, Desmond Llewellyn was Q for most of those Bond films, and nobody
Exactly.
blinked an eye. That's fine. Go
Kind of
for
like
it.
the whole Alfred Commissioner Gordon bit, right? Like those two stayed the same through all 4 Batman movies, right? You have your side characters, they stay. Well, who cares? Other people age out, you just recast them over time. I have no problem with that. It would be better for me to see that than to continually reboot and see the same origin stories over again, or trying not to do the same origin stories again. Because that's all we're going to do is just get to that point where it's just kind of a mishmash of all this shit at the end of the day. But anyhow, on that note, let's keep on moving here. We got Chaos Sonic 1 who says with $5, another day, another time, the Sonic community complains about Mike Pollock, the voice of Eggman, going against Hamas. It is stupid.
This is why actors, voice actors, if you're an entertainer, you need to just stick out of politics, because no matter which stand you take, you're going to piss off half your audience, and you just have to stick out of it. I do not know any details about what has been said here, but whatever was said was probably too much, and he probably didn't even say anything wrong.
Yeah. Kathleen Morrison has been a member for 17 months. Thank you for the support. Dark Hero Fan sends in 2 and says, won't see new Time Bandits. Hope to see your review. Well, I don't know if we'll do a review. It's an Apple movie. And
when is it coming out?
I don't know. We did talk about the trailer a little bit. And on that note, Michael Nemo also says, how about the Time Bandits trailer? Honestly, the Cap Brave New World teaser looks better. YTT needs to not work with someone else's material, in my opinion. Well, what's silly about this is he had signed on for a Flash Gordon deal, and then he goes and does this. People were like, okay, Flash Gordon makes sense, especially if you're going to do it a bit more, lean more into the camp, like the late 70s, or was it 80 that
80,
movie came out?
1980, yeah.
Was it 80? Okay, either way, if you're going to lean into that kind of more of a feel, like everybody's like, yeah, let's see what he's got. Let's see him do that.
What really made sense? That he was announced for in 2019, I believe. Alejandro Jodorowsky's The Incal. He'd be the perfect director for that. What happened with that? I mean, that's the kind of stuff that Taika Waititi should be doing, where his sensibilities actually are absolutely perfect. And he actually could go all over the top like he did in Thor Love and Thunder, and it would fit right in with the property. I mean, it's as if Jodorowsky wrote it like 40 years ago just for him. So why the hell isn't he doing that? Why is he doing this instead?
Who Lord only knows. But no, like what I said the other day was basically this, Michael, and anybody else who didn't hear us, was that I think it's a mistake to try. I mean, I'm not somebody who's against remakes, reimaginings, readaptations, all that kind of stuff. I'm not against that. But when you've got a very prolific director, or at least somebody who has a very strong voice, I should say, like Terry Gilliam, that's a hard follow-up. You are not, no matter what he did, you're not going to be able to recapture that, because he is one of the most unique directors out there. And in the last few years, I've like rediscovered some of his catalog. Like over the years, I've seen his films, but I guess I just kind of realized how much of a mad fucking genius he is over the last fucking few years. Like, especially after seeing Baron Munchausen for the first time since I was a kid. I'm like, this movie is batshit insane, crazy, but it's amazing. How the hell did they let him make this?
It was great.
Right? Yeah, and that's what I think is a big problem with that. Don't try to recapture somebody who already had such a strong voice. It's just, you're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
12 Monkeys, Brazil. I see you guys are all, and that's the thing.
Brazil's probably one of his better films out of all of them. Like, it's
Fisher King, which is where he showed I can make an actual regular movie. And he said that's really what it was. He was so scared at the time that no studio would ever give him money again, that he's like, I better just make a regular movie. And he did. And it ended up, as far as I know, I think that's his highest grossing film. I know it definitely got tons of like nominations and stuff like that. But anyway, that being said, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to do that. Callum Lyle says with 5 Australians, should we black pill video games since The female of the species wants to destroy as usual. Well, we kind of talked a little bit about this the other day.
Yeah.
But...
No, you should just go back and play retro games until the industry learns. Simple as that. Or what say the representative of that game plays.
That's youth culture. Look behind you. Game plays.
I forgot which one I had. Oh yeah, I had the game channel up. Yeah. No, I mean in Andre's 100% right.
Game channel, we're greatest. We do all the gamings. We're the park place where we park.
We do. We've got retro reviews coming on old games that you probably forgot about.
Just like Vice President Trump.
That's right. Yeah. That you never got a chance to play. All kinds of fun things. Thank you,
Andre. I look forward to your review of Phantom 2040.
I will have to give that to somebody else to review. I won't have time, but one of the team will get to it.
See, that's the problem with us in the video game thing. Like Andre and I would only really be able to do like retro gaming stuff. Like we'd have to bring in other people to do the modern stuff.
There haven't been a lot of good games recently. Like I said, I mean, I reported this news in a lot of places, including here, I think, where most people were playing games that were 6 years old or older.
And people would be like, well, Tom, you just have to play the game. It's like, no, just go watch some of my gameplays and you'll see why. I suck at playing games. You think Gary of Nerdrotic is funny at playing? No, I'm worse than that.
Oh, I'm worse than all of you because whenever I try play a new modern 3D game, I have zero room sensation at all. So the first corner is possible to walk into. I'm going to walk right into that.
That's
corner,
me.
And I can't get out again.
No matter how bright I make it, no matter what I do, I get stuck in a corner somewhere. like how the fuck do I get out of here? And that's why I hate first person shit. Like I know some people are like, what was wrong with that? It's like, because I can never see where my body is, so I have no idea where my sense of location is horrible. And I die instantly and everything. That's why I got really disappointed with the RoboCop game. I'm like, really? We couldn't have like a second person point of view here? Really? And then that also bothered me because it's like, why even sell us skins for other outfits when you can't see them? But anyway, that's me in gaming. It'd be like boomer gaming, exactly.
But Phantom 2040 is a really, really good game. So
now Ninja Turtles, I can play the shit out of Ninja Turtles. That's about it. And Galaga, that's my jam. Other than that, like pinball and stuff like that, I'm an old school guy. Yeah. Tweaky Kid has been here for 39 months. Speaking of old school, holy crap. Thank you for that, Tweaky. And then we got Packing Proton sends in 5 and says, less serious chat. Popeye is an underrated movie. I agree. Perfect cast to bring those characters to life. And Jack Mercer at the start. Oh, I found it. Growing up, I loved it. I didn't realize people hated it until the internet.
No, it's a weird musical.
But it works for me.
I just like the fact that they went so far as to make sure Popeye had the hair as hairy of arms as actual Robin Williams.
Yeah. You know, those arms would cut off his circulation and shit. He hated them. There's so many fun stories about that movie, especially the one where supposedly Harry Nilsson locked himself into a hotel room and refused to finish writing the music until he got a bag full of coke. I guess that's a true story. But anyhow, Jesus Davila gifted a membership. Thank you for that, Jesus. We appreciate that. Tweaky Kid sent in $4.99 and said, would Disney at least break even with releasing this shit show in November? Capitalize on what happens on the 5th of that month. I see where you're going with that. Traditionally, I don't think movies have ever played well during
not during the election week, but
political election times.
Weekend, yeah.
Thanksgiving, yes. Yeah. But I mean, traditionally, I don't think any film has done well during that time period because the grown-ups in the room are usually more worried about other things. That's usually been the case, at least in my experience. Robert sends in 5 and says, do we know if Superman takes place in the past? Set pics show extras wearing 70s and 80s attire? That's a good question. I didn't notice that. I didn't even pay attention to that.
Well, it could very well be that some sequences do.
Maybe. The
Flashbacks
other
to him
part
growing
too
up.
is that it just could be an ambiguous time period. I mean, that would be
Yeah, it could be its
smarter.
own universe, basically. Yeah.
It'd be better not to make it in, oh, it's the real world, but with Superman. Like, no, that's
It's
they've
kind
done
of
that.
what Donner did in a way. I mean, more so
Yeah.
in the Lester films because, you know, they bring up the big apricot and all that kind of shit like that, you know,
Mhm.
making it its own little thing in Metropolis, even though we know it's New York. They still play along with it.
Well,
So,
I mean,
yeah,
the
he
good
could
thing
very
is
well
those
be
movies are very much dated in the current day.
true, but
They have aspects to it. What this guy is saying is because of the weird attire and also some of the way they're showing some of the buildings and showing some of the cars. It's like something where it's like an amalgam of different generations that work in harmony with this other universe. It's not going to be. I mean, I would be very surprised if they said the year is 2024 or 2025 when it comes out, but they
right.
might.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. I'm agreeing with you. Mr. Tickletrunk gifted 10 memberships. Thank you for that, Mr. Tickletrunk. That was very, very generous of you. We actually had a member stream yesterday. Tim Hayes has been a member for 3 years. Congratulations, Tim.
Yeah,
That's
it was so
amazing.
good to have you on the member stream yesterday.
Yes. He was the first one in.
Yeah.
Then we got Nightwish fans 1991 sending in a very generous $20 saying briefly on Acolyte. Oh, we tried to, well, at least I saved this for after Paul left because he did not want to talk Star Wars today. I don't blame him. Briefly on Acolyte, how do you waste 2 episodes out of 8 on the same flashback and fail to recontextualize anything? Not worth going back to on the second to last episode. Just baffling to me how you can screw that up. Yeah, this is one thing I've been saying for a long time about when you only got 8 episodes, there shouldn't be any filler or bullshit. But anyway, go ahead, Andre. Sorry.
Yeah, I have a theory, and I just want to hear what Script has to say. It's not just being a professional screenwriter and all. And my theory is that Leslie Headland is an overrated hack that has bought into her own hype and thinks she's this master in writing when she's really not, and that the regular rules don't apply to her. And she really wrote a masterpiece here, and what she did here was this amazing thing and tribute to Rashomon and everything like that. It just fell flat on its face. That's my hypothesis. Script, am I completely off base?
No, you're pretty close because it was like 8 years ago. People were just dying over Rashomon. And I'm like, Rashomon's an old movie. It's just a different perspectives on the same story. You're supposed to reveal new information and it's supposed to be trickled out to you. But so many people trying to copy and emulate it decades after it had already been done. And it was already done again with a Dennis Quaid movie called Vantage Point, which did not perform well.
Which was a brilliant movie, though.
It was. I enjoyed it, but because it did it right. But the thing is that not a lot of audiences don't really always gravitate towards those things in film and television unless you have a very, very compelling mystery, like something that people actually get behind. The problem with The Acolyte is that like the 2 flashback episodes are probably the only things that are worth anything with regards to story wise, but they come so far apart so late into the game that you failed to actually hook us to be invested into them. So you've dropped the ball onto that point. And I would say after having seen the most recent episode, it's like this would have been better as a dramatic irony piece as opposed to a Rashomon piece, where basically we as the audience know what's going on and we're wondering how are these 2 characters going to react when they finally learn the truth? And are they going to learn the truth in an interesting way? Or is it going to be they're sat down, or in this case, strapped down to a gurney and being told by, the one survivor, this is what happened. It's just boring. It's really boring. So that's, I mean, that's just it. What's going to happen in the next episode? Well, either everybody dies in order to maintain their continuity, or they have that one survivor who decides to go into exile, and then you're just kind of bored. Like, again, there's no way to stick a landing for this show. It reminds me so much of Ahsoka in the sense that you've got all this talk about Thrawn. It's like, we're going to take 3 episodes to load up all of our supplies on our ships. Like, why did you ever unload your supplies on your ship? You were living on the ship anyways. Why are you wasting those episodes to just launch and get out of Dodge? It's just dumb. Very, very dumb. And that is my end of my TED Talk.
Indeed. I don't know where Andre went, but yeah, there he is. And then we've got Last Call with Troy Pacelli, who's been a member for 16 months. Thank you for that. Dark King sends in a member chat and says, curious to what happens after Fleshlight. I think he means the Acolyte. What's next on KK's roadmap to hell? Hard to believe that they could make space lesbian witches into a shitty show. Even the porn industry could do better. Wow. They have more imagination.
That's true.
And unfortunately, we are losing Cultured Casino. But thanks for joining us today.
Oh, no. Thank you for having me. It was a wonderful hour, 40 minutes to hang out with all of you. And Script, keep it up, brother. And, write us something good.
I've got some interesting stuff in the works that are out there. So we'll hopefully see what happens in that. Will be years before it gets released, but we'll hopefully see what happens with that.
Someday, at least give us hope. On that note, everybody have a great weekend. TGIF. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
So, yeah. And then we've got Chris K, who says we need a palate cleanser. Recommend an 80s film so cringe it overlaps with Glorious. Andre, any metal wisdom?
Yeah, okay. Here's a movie that actually could do very well with a metal soundtrack, and that also has some cringe in it. And that would be the film Missing Link. All it's needing is a metal soundtrack about the absolute last of the not Cro-Magnon, but like Australopithecus or something like that, like one of the early hominids. So this is a movie taking place 1 million years ago. And it's about the last of this early hominid, as all of his other kinds are being outcompeted and killed off by Homo sapiens, by modern man. So that's a cringe movie with that only needed a metal soundtrack. Metal wisdom. This is going to be a regular segment, but I don't have any metal wisdom this week.
Yeah, we're gonna have to work on that. I'm gonna have to make a theme song and everything.
Yeah, we'll make it a regular thing.
But yeah, an 80s film that's so cringe it overlaps into Glorious. Shit, that's a good question.
Well, there are so many though.
In fact, I was trying to remember. I know I was just talking about one the other night on Greg's channel that kind of fell into this category, Fanzine's channel. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Any 80s sword and sorcery movie. Sorceress, for instance. There's a good one. Yeah, Sorceress.
Sorceress? Oh, the 82 one?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's so cringe it overlaps into Glorious. And the people who wrote that, they definitely had read their Conan comics. And I can even tell you which issues.
You know one that's kind of cringe and aimless that came out pretty around the same time? Have you seen Conquest?
I haven't.
The Italian movie?
Yeah,
yes,
the Italian movie with the bow with the laser arrows.
Yeah, the topless chick throughout all of it.
Yeah, but it's like you watch it and you have no idea what's going on at any point in any of the movie. It's so confusing and
it's very dreamlike. I do not think that the people who made that movie were in. Let's just say, I think that everyone who made that movie were whacked out of their minds. And I think it's a movie that probably is best seen while whacked out of your mind. So if whacked out of your mind, the 1983 film, what do you call it again?
Conquest.
Conquest, yes. Conquest definitely is a way to go. But basically, any 80s sword and sorcery film kind of like fits that bill. I mean, Dragon Slayer.
You can never go... Yeah, and you can never go wrong with things like, of course, like it's kind of like, I wouldn't call it a guilty pleasure because I know it's bad, but it's so bad that I laugh at it. Staying Alive with John Travolta, the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, and it is so fucking 80s. And the hilarious thing is, it's the same damn movie as the first one, just the ending is different. It's in reverse. Instead of Tony getting what he wants, he realizes that what he wants sucks. That's like the whole point of the film. And it is so badly 80s. I mean, oh God. And I'm sure Travolta has a few of them that are badly 80s.
He's got Travolta's got a lot of peaks and valleys in his career.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of that one with the Survivors, I think it was, or what's the one where they're in the town? It's him and can't remember the guy's name, but that might be the one I'm trying to remember. But anyway, either way, like, yeah, there's a few of them, but I can't think of any better ones offhand right now. But I'm sure some will come up as we move along. Garbage Pail Kids. But like Andre said, you can never go wrong with sword and sorcery ones. Like I just got the Dragon
Slayer, that one.
Dragon Slayer ones, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know that you also have like the Sword and the Sorceress. That's another one you definitely can't
that's a good
go wrong
one.
with.
There's Hundra. Hundra's an okay one.
Yeah.
That's a Conan-like movie. There's a whole bunch that follows suit after Conan the Barbarian.
There's one I watched the other day that actually was made in the 90s, like the early 90s, but felt very 80s in like an 80s slasher film. It was called Uncle Sam. It was about a killer Uncle Sam.
A killer president. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Anyway, it was cheesy as fuck, but it was an entertaining film. Street Fighter is definitely one that's very 90s.
Yeah, that is so 90s. I mean, that's
the Experts. That's what I was thinking of. FKHC. Thank you. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. The John Travolta one.
Oh, okay. Well then, Jesus Davila, how's it going, man?
Yes, we got to smash the like button if you're enjoying the stream. Hopefully you are. And he's been here for 32 months. Hi, Dragonstar says, so movies on screen are stuck no matter what. They cannot drop it even to prevent brand damage. Pretty much.
Yes, absolutely, Dragonstar.
In most of these cases, yes.
Yeah, the one thing that they can do is they can have limited screen releases, but even that is subject to the deal. So here's some fun facts for you. So the Batman Part 2, that has not been pre-sold yet at the film market because it was not on the roster this past year. And even though it's been announced, what we have also learned is that there hasn't been a screenplay completed yet, so they have nothing they can actually pre-sell at this point. But fun fact, the film market following the announcement of James Gunn taking over the DC studios, Superman, a Batman Brave and the Bold, and a couple of other titles that were unknown were pre-sold at the following film market that year, which I think was 2023. So there are going to be movies that are compelled to be released because the studio took that money. And that's just basically how it goes. So if you hear from us on this channel or you read in the trades, a movie that has been announced and is scheduled for theaters, guess what? Yeah, they're stuck. They're stuck releasing it in theaters because if they try to release it solely on streaming, you're going to have that lawsuit that Scarlett Johansson had with her Black Widow film. Because again, they pre-sold that. And then because of the pandemic, they tried to do it on streaming and try and say, oh, this is how it's supposed to work. But they ended up having to settle because guess what? Disney violated a deal, not just with Scarlett Johansson, but with all the distributors at that time as well. So that is why you cannot just write off a feature film. But on streaming series stuff, if they say it's exclusive to streaming, boom, that is up. That is basically, it could be Willow to Batgirl at this point if it doesn't make money. Now, the difference between Batgirl and Willow is that Willow was shared. It was distributed. People got to see it. It performed so terribly that Disney's like, screw it. We're just going to cut it. We're just going to take it off our platform, completely remove it, get some money back. Warner Brothers could have done the same with Batgirl, but they wouldn't have gotten as much back. And then when it comes to the Wile E. Coyote film, which a lot of people still really wanted to see, they were willing to entertain other options, but no studio was able to provide enough money for Warner Brothers to actually make a profit off of it. So it was better in their interest to unfortunately kill that film. And that's just the way the industry works now that we have this final platform or final format of streaming. It's just like with straight to DVDs, right? So a straight to DVD movie back in the day didn't have to have a theatrical contract, but what they would do is they'd pre-sell the DVDs to retailers internationally, and that's what would pay for the film. And so once it was done, it had to be made. That's why we had so many straight to DVD movies that were just beyond terrible with a couple of good ones here and there. And that's why the market was kind of oversaturated to a point where everybody was just so excited about getting their movie on DVD because that's all you needed in order to make your movie. So that's some of the taste of the dynamics of how the industry works when it comes to announcements and distribution.
Yeah, and speaking of pre-sales, do you happen to know anything about the pre-sales for Red Sonja? Because I haven't heard anything. I've heard they've been trying to sell it, but I haven't heard a single
I don't
entity
think
that
they
actually
were.
bit.
I don't think they were able to get it pre-sold before they started production. I think that one was considered a dormant IP with a limited market part. Because
Neither has Toxic Avenger found a distributor yet either.
yeah,
Wow.
like again, some movies are put into production without the pre-sale stuff because they actually have their full funding elsewhere. And then other movies, like with Disney, they don't like to spend their own money, so that's why they do their pre-sale. Same with Warner Brothers and all the other bigger studios, and because they are also distributors, they can pre-sale a lot easier. With you dealing with on the independent market, it's basically a pre-sale deal helps you a lot because you know where it's going to be distributed to, and you already have a deal of getting residuals back on that as well. So you get your money up front to make it. You deliver the product to the distribution network, whether it's theatrical stuff within Europe and all the other countries outside of the European Union and whatnot, China, U.S., South America, Australia, all those markets. And then you just collect whatever comes back from those ticket sales. In addition, it usually goes against what you pre-sold as well. So that's how it balances out. But on the independent side of things, if you can't get a pre-sale deal, but you've got the money to do it, then you're basically on the actual film market itself, where you're selling the finished product. And that's where those markets actually watch the entirety of the film and see whether or not it's going to make the money. And if something is being delayed or not getting a distribution deal right away, it's either the movie's bad or the movie doesn't have a big enough of a star power to lure in general audiences. And so they're not going to invest in a distribution for it. So you end up going to streaming right away. Sorry, Tom.
Or they'll end up. I was just saying, or they'll write it off like what's probably going to happen with the Coyote Roadrunner movie, because even though I've talked to people on both sides of this, I mean, I think you were there that night. We covered the story leak. I mean, if that story leak is even remotely accurate, I think we all could understand why nobody wanted this movie. Because it was just, it's not what people are expecting it to be. There was hardly anything in the courtroom. Like, I was kind of positing from the start, like this would work better as like a short or something like that, and not an actual film.
It was the most elaborate scheme the Coyote had to try and get the Roadrunner. And I mean, concept wise would be good, but if the leaks are accurate, it doesn't follow all the rules of what the Coyote is supposed to be doing to try and get the Roadrunner. And it doesn't.
Well, and the whole thing with him suing Acme was only like a short portion of the actual story itself. It had more to do with the lead character and
the lawyer and everything, and his daughter and whatnot. Yeah.
So I was like, after I read all that stuff and we went through that, I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see why nobody wanted to spend the kind of money like that on it. So, but that's a situation where also I'd kind of heard some rumblings that part of the reason they went away from that film, even though it had like people like James Gunn and other people involved, was they also got a new animation director there, and they have that new movie that just came out silently, that Porky and Daffy movie. And I think the new animation guy's involved with that. So I think he wanted to go a bit of a different direction with things. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to see the light of day, but yeah, it's a complicated business. Each movie is its own entity and its own business unto itself. And as Script was explaining, it's a very, very varied industry in how these films work. But when you're working in the studio side of things, yes, when you're talking about these big tentpole films, they do these deals with McDonald's and Doritos and Pepsi and all that shit way in advance. Same thing with the theaters and all that stuff. So, you have to meet those certain, I mean, they have leeway where they can delay things sometimes and other things, but then you'll see what happens with Wonder Woman 84, where Doritos is like, look, we've got to release these bags of chips. It doesn't matter that your movie's not coming out yet. They're going to go because otherwise they're going to go bad. Right.
Exactly. And they did the day and date for that, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah. That was that was one on HBO Max. Yeah.
Yeah. That was HBO Max and then limited theater run. And that's how they were able to avoid a lawsuit. So, yeah, I mean, that's the case. I mean, to your point, McDonald's, 2 months ago, they started showing promotions for the Falcon stuff.
They just dropped the Happy Meal. And the best that we could come up with is Disney probably asked if they could push it off till February. And they're like, no, we've got some other thing in February. We're not going to move it again. Because like I told Andre before, I think that even that initial date that that McDonald's had dropped him was already the second date that they had announced. So I think McDonald's had already pushed them back once before.
Yeah, and they book out their promotional stuff 2-3 years in advance, so they know what's going on.
Well, I remember, like I said, when I worked at Taco Bell, the two times they had major issues between Star Wars, between the re-releases, the prequels, and Godzilla business, they were like, we're done. We're not doing this shit no more. Because they spent so much money on those campaigns. It was horrendous. Like, they spent, like, I can't believe, it's like,
that was the
million or something like that on the Star Wars one, and then, like, yeah, it was like,
oh no, that was the gimmick, because the studios, what they would do, or at least on the Star Wars stuff, they'd give them the discount to use Star Wars imagery on their product so that they could cross promote the film. And what ended up happening is, yeah, the restaurants spend way more money manufacturing and advertising for the film, and the movie itself, and the producers, you know, Lucasfilm and Fox at that time were like, yeah, we don't really have to spend anything on this because they're shooting their own commercials for us. We don't have to do anything. We just have to sign off on, yes, you can use a lightsaber. Yes, you can make, you know, the Colonel fly a the Millennium Falcon. We don't care. You're good. Do whatever
believe
you want.
Me that here lizard Taco Bell commercial did more for Godzilla than anything else.
Yeah. I bet it did.
So many people came and talked, like, they wanted a lizard. They wanted a little guy that said that, because we had the ones that would say stuff. Every once in a while they would come out. We'd get 4 of them every once in a while. We'd, you know, drop the chalupa and Yo quiero Taco Bell and all that stuff. They wanted, like, you guys are gonna get one that says, hey, lizard. Like, there were so many people that asked for that. I'm like, if we would actually made those instead of these fucking dinosaur looking things, people would want them. Anyway, I Cthulhu, it says, script, you are wrong. Deadpool's success is comedy action for single men on Valentine's Day, not because of the romance. Look at John Wick. Well, there still was a romance element to it.
Well, not only that, the audience was 62 men, 48 women, percentage-wise overall. That's pretty neck and neck for a film, especially a superhero.
And I think Ryan Reynolds probably has a pretty good draw with women too.
Yes. So, I mean, yeah, it was not just for single men. Heck, when I went to the theater with my girlfriend at the time, yeah, it was all couples. Like,
I've talked to a few women now, including one of my exes, where they weren't fans of superhero movies, but they loved Deadpool. And I brought this up in other places too when we talk about it. That's why I was saying, like, Deadpool's like above the exception to the rules. Right. Kind of like with Batman. There was a lot of people growing up who were like, I'm not into the tights and all that kind of crap. But then, like, you bring up Batman. Well, Batman's different.
Yeah. Well, what about Rambo? What was the one that had that larger female demographic for Rambo?
Yeah, that was first.
That's Rambo Last Blood. All of them may have had a fairly sizable female demographic. I do not have the numbers, but the only thing that we have are the numbers that demonstrated that more women went to see Rambo Last Blood than went to see the Charlie's Angels reboot. So that's what we have there. It wasn't that many people went to see it. Not saying that. It was still male-dominated audience. That was more a commentary of more women actually wanted to see that than Charlie's Angels. So that context is important there.
And I think if I remember right, I think they even did like a Valentine's campaign with Deadpool. But anyway, Sergeant Point Blank sends in 5 and says, Tom, I agree. I prefer ARPGs like Diablo and Last Epoch, because all you do is run around and kill shit and not think. Yeah. Sometimes. And then we got Action Com who says, last day of fast, as I say that with a mouthful of food.
Yes, because Action Com, he has been on a 5-day fast, which beats the shit out of my 53 or 56 hours or what they were. So, yeah, kudos. I mean, I'm amazed that you would go that long, but looking forward to when you can break that fast. That should be amazing.
Then we got Kalekioki here with another 20 and says, what's up with rich people in control? Why can't people be rich and just focus on making money? Why force this LG HD TV through Disney onto other people? They do realize this is how societies fall, right? Well, I think what Kalecki is referring to here is a lot of the stuff we've been learning out of what's now being called the Disney Files. The first few videos were called the Disney Tapes. Now we're into the Disney Files, which we did discuss in a little bit more length last night on Midnight's Edge After Dark. But I didn't know if you wanted to get into that at all here this morning, Andre. I know you probably got a video planned on it, but
I do, yes. I just have to find the right way to do it. I don't know that this necessarily have anything to do with that. When it comes to like rich people and control, well, they already have the money for all their big screen TVs, so they don't need any more money. Now they need power over others because that's much more rewarding. And for societies to fall, well, they want society.
I have the answer.
Fall. They can create a new one where we can basically go back to the Middle Age, where the powerful can be the true aristocracy, and us pleb will just be the useless servants to their whims.
What's one thing money can't buy, really? Or what's one thing that no matter how much money in the world you have, if you can't have kids, can't exactly buy them. Well, you could, but then it's called human trafficking.
Well,
right?
I mean, there's a surrogacy where it's consenting, and
well, there's that. I mean, there's like, okay, but I'm trying to draw a point here, right? These so-called rich people that you're talking about, Kalekioki, let's just say they can't have kids of their own because they're gay or whatever reason they decided, or they've mutilated their genitals, let's say, whatever it is. How else do you get kids? You indoctrinate them. And this, my friends, is what brings us up to the Disney Files situation, because that whole thing, what we're learning from that is that basically kids are being indoctrinated through Disney into this LGBTQ stuff. So again, I didn't know how much you wanted to get into it today, Andre, but
yeah, we have to be really careful of that, because this entire Disney Files is very demonetizable and worse. So we have to be really careful with that one. But yeah, so basically, and I still don't think that has necessarily anything to do with this super chat directly, but yeah, the new level of D files from O'Keefe, that's gonna be something if you can get the right interviews and the right admissions from people there, and it's going to put the not so secret gay agenda into a whole new light. I don't know, Script, if you had the chance to see the O'Keefe tape yet.
Oh, I have, and all it does, it just says, "Oh, this is they're using the exact same tactics that Disney has used since the '60s with regards to, getting into children's heads. The only difference now is that you have this new group coming in, doing it for their own purposes. So you have an interesting conflict within Disney, which is why you have some people within Disney exposing this to O'Keefe anonymously, basically saying, like, listen, when we're trying to indoctrinate kids, we just want them to love Disney so much that when they grow up and have kids, they're making new customers for us. Now, what we have is another entity that's basically saying, well, we don't just want them to be Disney shills, essentially Disney customers forever. We also want them to kind of spread out and also make it look like we're ahead of the game as society is changing to be more accepting of other lifestyles. And we want to be considered their support system as well, which means that whenever you feel like you're being oppressed by the real world, you can find refuge at Disney. And that's very peculiar. And the thing is, again, as I've said many times, any company that promotes the well-being of children does not believe in the well-being of children ever. Never has, never will, never won't, never will actually stay true to what they say. And they are also ripe for the people that would do the most damage to children to have as staffers, employees, and supporters.
Well, I would say that's a pretty major difference, though, because before you could say that, well, that's capitalism at its worst. It's what every company wants. Whereas now it's actual cult indoctrination and mind control in a way that wasn't the case before.
I mean, well, it still is. It's got one extra aspect to it that crosses lines that
yes,
go beyond
yes, I agree with that. It's one, but like that one extra thing, it crosses the line, and that's a big step, because what Disney was before, we've all been subject to that. We all wanted to impart the traditional Disney, the Disney magic, and there's nothing wrong with that, because even if there's a corporate desire behind it, it's still Disney magic. And we can say the same thing, like the cartoons that we watched in our childhood influence us to this day, for better or worse. So I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with that. But that's when you add that one extra component to it, then it crosses a line. And it's a big, big line to cross.
Well, and to go off of what Stan Lee's saying here, yes, they already had most of the kids market. That's what I'm saying. There's a nefarious group of people involved in this that are now using, as Script said, the tactics that Disney would already use
for their own agenda. Yeah.
For their own agenda now. And they're using Disney as a propaganda tool is what it is.
And you know what's kind of fascinating is that Disney was so easily infiltrated by this because of how much they focus on kids. Whereas Warner Brothers, which has a huge kids market, the difference being is when you look at the classic Warner Brothers cartoons, they are far more nuanced, not just for kids, but also adults. And the thing is, you get adults involved in them a lot easier than the adults today are involved in Disney, because what does Disney parents usually do? They put on the Disney movie to occupy the kids. They go do something else. A Warner Brothers cartoon parent always sticks around to watch the cartoon because it's funnier for them. It's targeted for everyone in the family as well. And because Warner Brothers has a softer promotional scheme with their animation and kids program compared to Disney, it's a lot harder for them to have infiltrated and corrupted all of their cartoons the way, and the rest of the brand, the way that it has had on Disney, right? Because again, when parents are more involved and aware with the content that their children are seeing, they can put an end to it pretty quickly if something's off kilter. But Disney parents, I don't know many Disney parents that actually sit down and watch the new stuff. They'll watch the classics easily. But the newer stuff, no, they're just like, no, I've seen the classics. I know what Disney is. Well, just plop the kid in front of the TV, turn on the new stuff, walk away, go do our chores, do our duties for the parenting and whatnot, and then come back and then question, why is the kid saying these weird phrases? Where did they pick up this thing? That's kind of the weirdest. That's kind of the interesting aspect of this, and I'm looking to see more and more. And I'm hoping O'Keefe or anyone else that follows up, maybe even if it's that Park Place or Pro and them, find out like who is the first of this particular group to kind of make their way in and then open up the well, so to speak, to have all these other people of this persuasion enter into the company and start taking over this angle for marketing, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the...
Indeed, and as I said yesterday on Mr. H's, this is more nefarious than anything the alcohol or the tobacco industry did put together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's truly nefarious.
I'm looking forward to your video on that. And then we got Action Com again, who says at Script, if Acolyte do a occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge ending.
Oh, that's a callback. Okay, so for those who don't know, Occurrence at Owl Creek is a story where a Union soldier poses as a Confederate soldier to essentially entrap a Confederate supporter to try and burn Owl Creek Bridge, and they end up capturing him. And it's told kind of in present tense and in flashback, and it's a dark tale. I would be shocked if Leslie Headland knew of that story and could do something of that type. There's not many people that know literature from that period. Yeah. So no, I mean, that would be one heck of a turn. I'd be really impressed if she did do something like that, because it would show that she actually knew her literature, her lit history. But I'm not holding my breath or expecting any type of landing that's going to be that useful to the series.
All right. And then we got Jay Albridge here, who's become a new member. Thank you so much. Juan Carlos Gonzalez Jr. sends in $4.99, says, haven't watched any Disney Star Wars since Book of Boba Fett. I'm intrigued to watch how much it's deteriorated as a curiosity. Would you recommend that? I have not either, Juan. And I don't know. What do you guys say? You're the ones who've watched it, not me.
As a curiosity of how low it can go. It always goes lower. So really it's how much imagination do you have on how bad it could get? And are you willing to challenge that imagination to what is the reality of the nature, Juan?
Yeah, I would say, how much time do you have to waste, and how fun do you think it would be as an experiment? If you have the time to waste, sure, go for it. But if you have better things to do that instead. because you are deliberately watching something bad that you will not enjoy just to see how bad it is. I mean, just listen to the reviews. You even saw Grace Randolph turn on this recently. John Campio's out long time ago. So I would say instead find something cool to watch that you actually will enjoy. That's a far better use of your time than this. That's all I have to say about it. So actually, unless you think that you'll have so much fun with watching this, you combine it with a drinking game or something, then no, I wouldn't recommend it. And then moving on from there, Jay Aldridge says for $5, Mighty Man and Yuck live action movie. Make it now, Hollywood. LOL. I don't even know what that is.
Mighty Man, is that the British? Is that a UK?
I think so.
Dang, I think it is.
Are you thinking about Mighty Mouse or Mighty?
No.
Well,
No, there's Mighty Man.
Or is it Miracle Man? Oh gosh, Mighty Man. You know, I have to Google that because I don't.
Well, as long as it exists and you have the right people working on it, it can be as successful as anything else, I guess.
Yeah, it's an Eric Larson character. Yeah, from the 80s.
Well, do Savage Dragon instead then.
Yeah, Savage Dragon would be cool.
Yeah, I mean you can, and then bring Mighty Man and Yuck into that Savage Dragon project. There's room for it there. So yeah, not worthy of a live action movie, but would fit as guest characters in a Savage Dragon series.
There you go.
That could be cool. That could be very cool. And with that, I do believe we are fully caught up. So, Script, anything else you have coming that audiences need to be aware of?
Well, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, me and Jake from 52 Movies a Year are going to be reviewing a screenplay called The Last Tower, which is kind of like a Towering Inferno type, got to escape this disaster or this, this threat screenplay. And we'll be discussing that tomorrow. It's a nice little tentpole, high concept film, a little change of pace from what we've had the last few episodes. So yeah, we're gonna be talking that and seeing if something that's a little bit more of an original idea of a high concept script will be good and should be made. So check out that conversation tomorrow evening.
Yeah, and Tom, anything you are working on, or you got any plans for the weekend other than editing the video as soon as I'm done writing and recording it?
Sleeping. Lots of sleeping.
Yeah, that's
any thoughts on Danny Trejo asks Hip Checker 20? Why, did something happen to Danny Trejo?
Yeah, has anything happened to him?
I mean, I know he got knocked
He's
on his ass.
awesome. We've had him on the channel.
Yeah, I know he got knocked on his ass last week, unless that's what you're referring to. Yeah, because I don't see anything right now on Twitter anyway about him. Hopefully everything's fine with him.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Being in okay, because he was in some kind of a brawl. Okay, I'm not familiar.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, like there was some water balloon incident, and he squared up with some dude, and this guy knocked him out. The last I knew, he was okay. So yeah.
Well, that's the most important thing.
Oh, his dog died? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's too bad.
Wow. Well, that sucks.
Oh, we love Danny Trejo here, though.
Yeah. No, he's awesome. I don't know anything about this. I'm just seeing the headlines now. So yeah, hope he recovers. Wish him well. And just like all the other cases of celebrities being attacked, same as any other random person being attacked, I hope that the perpetrators are found and locked up.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as I know, everything's okay. Other than that, just the minor scuffle he had on the 4th of July, and I think
he's a tough guy, but he's an old man now. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah. It's funny, I just watched Anchorman. He's in that last night.
Yeah.
Cheeks can do stuff now. Yeah, that's that movie. And yeah, I guess we're caught up on everything. Unless there was any other stories you wanted to, or topics you wanted to cover quick.
Yeah, no, I think we are good. So,
we got a couple more super chats here. We got Robert who sends in 5 and says, Tom, He-Man film idea. He goes to Earth and gets the Ninja Turtles to help fight Skeletor. Billion easy. Well, they already did a crossover thing, and I wasn't too impressed with it. And Jay Aldridge says with $2, Mighty Man and Yuck was an American cartoon. Yeah, it looked like a Ruby Spears cartoon, if I remember right.
How long ago, though?
That would never heard of it. So, but I'll just say as before, any
Early
concept,
80s,
no matter what it is, if you have the right people working on it, some magic can happen. And if you don't, even with an amazing concept, can be turned into an incredible piece of garbage. So it depends entirely on who's working on it.
Yeah, and Paulie said that Danny's fine. He was laughing it off the next day in an interview, so that's good.
Oh, with regards to the scuffle, yeah. Not his dog. I mean, obviously.
Just... Obviously not, but that's a shit week for him to have that happen and then lose your dog. That really sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, with that, then I guess we are caught up.
Indeed.
So we will see you guys at some point this weekend with stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, check back for videos. And with that, it is time for some koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given, koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given.